All right, good day, good evening, everybody. It's time for the 2020 Virginia Beach School Board Candidate Online Forum, produced by the Hampton Roads Black Caucus and sponsored by New Journal and Guide, Positive Vibes Consulting, Virginia Beach APAC. And it's time to get started. We have a lot of our great candidates running for Virginia Beach School Board who are on the screen. Oh, wow. We're going to have a good time today. There's going to be a lot of questions asked. We're going to have some fun. So, we're going to begin with a quick prayer for the city of Virginia Beach.
I bring you greetings on behalf of First and Haven Baptist Church here in the city of Virginia Beach. We are blessed to be a part of these proceedings today and to begin the night with an opening prayer. I am Reverend Dr. Luther S. Allen III. I'm the pastor of the church, and I'm blessed to be invited to give this opening prayer. Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, we come together this evening saying thank you. We bless you and honor you, God, for the gift of participation in the civic process. We ask right now, oh God, that in these few moments of sharing, the Father, the ideas that you place in our hearts and minds are shared with love, with care and affection, and for the openness and for the best dealings of the city of Virginia Beach. We glorify you and we thank you. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. God bless you.
And now we're ready to have our salute to our country.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, the brave. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Is won.
All right, and that's former Virginia Beach City Public School student Traquan Manning. He's a proud Green Run graduate. So salute to the Stallions. Salute to the Stallions. We're going to bring on a few people from the at-large race, and we're going to begin with our questions. We have a lot of people who are trying to get in, and it's kind of great to see so much participation. So we're going to bring on now Miss Beverly Anderson. She's one of the people running in the at-large race. We have Miss Victoria Manning. Dr. Feld is working on joining us. We have Miss Logan, and we have Mr. Telkamp. Good. So I'm going to pose some of the questions, and we'll give each one of you 1 minute to answer those questions. Okay. So the first question is on the screen. Give you just a chance. All right. I like that holding the sign, Miss Anderson. Good. Since you're holding the sign, you can go first. So the first question is, much chaos and a lack of respect is highly evident by members of the current school board. What are 3 things you can do to bring about a more harmonious, less combative, and functional school board? You have 1 minute, Miss Anderson.
Thank you. We need people serving on the board that are in favor of public education. Number 1. Those who serve all the community and are not there to serve their personal agenda. We need to be able to respect our superintendent and work with him and his goals. We need people who will work together, sign our code of ethics, and support our superintendent and allow him to run the school system. So those are the things that I think are important. And currently that's part of the problem that's going on our school board. So, just being able to work together with people is the most important thing, and respecting their points of view. And then the biggest thing is respecting our superintendent and allowing him to do his job. But, those are the things that I've outlined that are so important for the school board. Thank you.
All right. And we're done. Okay. Miss Manning, same question. Go.
Thank you, Seiko. I can continue to fight to elect people who want to serve the people of Virginia Beach and put students first. We need people on the board who understand that they work for the citizens of Virginia Beach and not the superintendent. We need people who won't bully others just because they have a different viewpoint. We need to elect board members who won't kick people off committees just because they ask questions and have a different viewpoint. We need board members who won't constantly attack their colleagues, children, and families on social media, as does some of our current school board members.
Wow. Okay. Good. All right. Paul, you're up next. Same question. And you're muted, Paul, so unmute yourself.
Okay. So anyone on the school board should sign the code of ethics. Replacing the members on the board that are causing the issue is a start. People are tired of the posturing and the combative politics that affects our students. And if we remove the combative people, we will be getting back to business. The current situation is also an example of why zero tolerance policies don't work. It creates division and a lack of respect. Members should consider taking respectful actions of others and not being petulant children.
Okay. All right. Same question. Ms. Logan.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. Well, I think I could bring to the board a passion for our public school systems. I have such passion for what we're doing and how we're moving forward. I want to make sure we keep going in that direction. And in order to have more of a team environment for the school board, things that I've done in the past in the corporate world and other experiences is actually team building exercises. Get together and let the board do things that aren't even related to the school activities, just to kind of get to know each other better and learn how to interact with each other better. And then finally, I would think a simple rules of decorum should be decided upon. Everyone should sign it, and it should be followed without exception.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to pull the 4 of you off, and we're going to bring in the Centerville race, and they'll answer the very same question. So let's pull these candidates off. All right, and now I'd like to bring in Miss Riggs and
Hi,
Mr.
Seiko.
Cortez.
How you doing?
Okay. So this is the same question. Thank you, Luis. Much chaos and a lack of respect is highly evident by members of the current school boards. What are three things you can do to bring about a more harmonious, less combative, and functional school board? Ms. Riggs, you have the first crack at it.
Okay, am I on mute?
No, we can hear you.
You can hear me, great. Okay. Well, first of all, I think that we need to be serving everyone, not only our students, but our families, the communities, and we need to be very cognizant of that, because this is what we're here for public education. And public education has been so in Virginia Beach, especially in Virginia, it has been very highly regarded and done very well. So that's important. Those that serve all of the public and not their own public agenda is very important. And I think that there's some people that are serving their own public agenda, and they have their own ideas of what they want to see happen, rather than supporting the students and the educational policies, as well as our kids. So that's what I believe.
Okay, good. Mr. Cortez, your turn.
Well, I believe that right now we're bringing too much politics into the school system, and that has to stop. We have to literally focus on the kids and the teachers and the parents as well. Give them the option. My opponent is saying that she supports this, but every time they fail to listen to the parents when we speak, and they still do what they want to do, regardless of what their own agenda is. This is why we're trying to bring a new team, diversify it. That's why we're having issues with diversity and all these other planning that we're trying to implement. But we don't need that if we have a diverse school board already that understands the communities that they serve, and have children in the school systems that actually are dependent on the public school system, and not like most of the school board members now that do not have a say or to have any children in the school system. Therefore, their policies are not affected.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So now we're going to bring on Mr. Edwards and Miss Franklin. So Mr. Edwards and Miss Franklin. Hey, we have the same question.
I lost the audio.
All right, what's your answer, Miss? Okay, Miss Franklin, you can unmute yourself. You can press the space bar.
Okay. Oh, I'm trying. Someone's trying to help me here. I apologize. I didn't actually hear what you said. You cut out. Sir, did you?
Okay, so the question is, much chaos and lack of respect is highly evident by members of the current school board. What are three things you can do to bring about a more harmonious, less combative, and functional school board?
Well, actually, I'm really, really proud to run on this military ticket. And one of the things that I've always found very helpful is my military background. I am actually a retired military reservist. I was 24 years in the reserves and 10 years active duty. So I really bring a lot of experience in terms of working with people from all over the country, all different backgrounds, and still being able to work with them in a really effective way. So I think that all those years of experience, not to mention I've actually been the president of many different boards, not the school board, but many different boards. And so I really feel like with my experience working already with boards, with the military background, I really feel like I can be a person who really looks at things objectively and bring some harmony back to the board itself. So that's my goal.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Edwards. Same.
Thank you, Seiko. I'm going to answer the question directly. Three things. I would suggest that that the leadership of the board needs to ensure that we're totally inclusive. I would want to see the board, as it's newly structured in January, have a retreat where we could get to know and understand each other. And the third thing would be ensuring we had a good set of protocols and ethics and ethical pledge that we could all sign. And and those protocols would ensure that everybody understands that the superintendent works for us, but we need to communicate with him actively, as he is the CEO that we have hired to run the school system. I've got 18 years I've got over 20 years on the board, 18 of which I was the chair, and we really didn't have a lot of what's going on now. And so I think I've got, anyway, I'm out of time.
Good job, Mr. Edwards. Okay. Right. Thank you for your answers. All right. And now we're going to, wow, we have a lot of candidates here. And I guess Miss Moran, Miss Owens is still working on joining us. So your answer, much chaos and a lack of respect. What are three things you can do to bring about a more harmonious, less combative, and functional school board? Go. You can unmute yourself.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, the main thing that I want to bring attention is that we need to make sure that students are first and foremost. The problem is the 8 members of the majority have built this culture that you're talking about. They refuse to allow equitable representation on committees. They blocked Ms. Weems, one of the most experienced members of the board, from serving in leadership for only partisan reasons. I can work with anyone. Can they say the same?
Wow. Okay. All right. So let's go to our next question for tonight. This next question comes again from VBAA PAC. VBAA PAC, and we have some members of VBAA PAC who are with us tonight. We're all having a little bit of challenge tonight. So we're going to bring on Miss Anderson, Miss Manning, Miss Logan, and Mr. Telkamp. All right, same question. The new question. Why is an equity policy so needed in Virginia Beach City Public Schools? And what will you do to proactively support and ensure it is successful? Miss Anderson.
Okay, am I live? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. By the way, Dan's audio cut out quite a bit when he was talking earlier, so I don't know if it did for you all, but it did for me. Just wanted to say that so you were aware of that. But for the equity policy, I want to say, first of all, I voted in favor of the equity policy, and I am in favor of it. The policy is needed. Mainly, we need to start with an audit, and that's where we're planning to start. We're going to do an audit of the entire educational system. It's necessary to show us areas that are lacking and need improvement. And I will support the administration to implement the policy, because I feel that implicit bias happens, and that further training in recognizing implicit bias and within our school system happens. It happens, and our personnel need more training with that. And I think after we have the audit and the results of that, I think that we'll be able to come up with a plan to address the needs that we find are necessary.
Okay.
So
thank you.
I'm exceptionally in favor of it.
Okay. Miss Manning, same question.
Thank you. First, Seiko, I'd just like to let you know that Jeffrey Feld, who's running at large, he's trying to get on and hasn't been able to. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
I believe it's important to not just have an equity policy, but to have the right equity policy. When we have a board who doesn't even practice equity themselves, it's difficult to trust that they'll get it right. There are approximately 10 committees of the school board for which at least two or three board members serve on each committee. The board did not appoint me or another colleague to any of these committees. This is not equitable. I believe until this board can practice what it preaches, an equity policy is just not going to be effective. I supported an equity audit and felt that we needed to begin there before creating a policy.
Okay, thank you. All right, Miss Logan, your turn. And Miss Logan, you can unmute yourself.
I'm sorry I can't believe this policy became so controversial and so political. It's long overdue. We definitely need an equity policy in our school systems. We want to make sure that all of our students have access to the same resources. We want to make sure that their school is fair and safe and comfortable for their learning. That's what they need in order to strive and to do well. I would have voted, if I were on the board, I would have voted to have the equity policy move forward. And I would also work with the director of diversity and inclusion to help achieve all the goals that came out in the audit.
Okay. All right, Mr. Telkamp, your question.
Yeah, so for me, the equity is something that we needed a long time ago. And that's why I spoke passionately about it at the September 8th meeting. I was the first speaker, and I feel that there are many areas that we need to address for everyone. We need equity in the classroom, but also in hiring. And everybody should have a voice in the seat at the table to win in the best possible way. And I will help make this successful by supporting actions that come from the equity study that they just passed and continuing progress.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your answers. We're going to bring on now Ms. Riggs and Luis Cortez.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes, I definitely believe in the equity policy. As being the chair of the equity review committee, I had reached out to our people that presented that from the equity commission and asked them to get started with that and to present it to the policy review committee so we could move forward with this. We want to make sure that all of our students are being treated with equity and getting the equitable education that they need to have, as well as being equitable to our employees and having equitable opportunities for them. And I think that that is so important to have that. I think that in voting for this, we can move forward. And I think one of the big things that we can start with is having the audit, because I think that audit's going to help us move forward with where we need to go. PBIS is one of the important facets of this equity, because we want to make sure that we are being equitable in our discipline as well as the educational opportunities too. So this is a very needed policy.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Cortez, same question.
Yeah, I do believe in equity policy. I do believe it's done right. I believe in having all communities represented. I think the policy right now, as it is it was rushed a little bit. It wasn't done well prepared. I believe voting on it blinded is like writing a blank check to just anybody, a personal blank check. I believe we need to come together and actually propose a solid plan to do diversity and inclusion. I do believe this is, I guess we were here doing this because the school board has failed in providing this already before that. That's why it got to this level already as it is. So by bringing new board members in, diversify the board, there's your start right there. And that's why we need change.
We can't hear you.
Eco, yeah, we're not hearing anything.
Okay, yeah. Why is an equity policy so needed in BBCPS, and what will you do to proactively support and ensure it is successful? Ms. Franklin, start please.
Well, I agree actually with Luis in the sense that we do need to start by bringing more diversity to the board itself, for those who actually understand what inequity feels like, to be quite honest. And so I would like to see that we have a few changes happen so that we can actually bring some common sense and an actual real life experience to this topic. I would absolutely support a solid equity policy that does support teachers, students, administration, because I do feel like there is an equity, but we, like many of the other speakers have already said, we need to make sure that we look at the policy, that we have some real goals, and bring real life solutions and not just talk.
Okay. And Mr. Edwards, same question.
I was proud to support the equity policy. I was able to influence its development at the on the policy committee where I serve. I'm happy that the first step coming out of this new policy will be the audit, and the policy itself is lays out action that will be taken. And the policy also reflects the commitment of the board to equity. The policy was developed over several months. It was vetted by the board for a month. I would encourage those who want to see where people stand on equity to review the comments at both board meetings from those who are running for office. I believe it reflects our commitment or lack thereof. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, and now we're going to bring on Ms. Moran to answer the same question, okay? So, Ms. Moran, the question and the microphone is yours. Why is an equity policy so needed in VBCPS? And what will you do?
So first and foremost, we need equal opportunity for all students, all races. The problem right now is that the majority refuses to allow all school board members to know what the equity policy is, what training is involved, what the investment will be, nothing. There's no transparency. The majority never allows participation by the full board. We need transparency.
Okay, wow. That is short and sweet. All right, great. So it's time for our next question. We're going to pose this question to all of the candidates. This one is a little heavier. This one is a lot heavier, actually. All right, so when the COVID-19 pandemic passes and the world opens up again, how will you propose safely reopening schools in a way that will be powered by the physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being of every child and every teacher? So we're going to bring on again Ms. Anderson, Ms. Manning, Ms. Logan, and Mr. Paul. All right, so I'm going to hide the question because it's a pretty long question, but the question again is, when the COVID-19 pandemic passes and the world opens up again, how would you propose safely reopening schools in a way that would be powered by the physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being of every child and every teacher? So, Ms. Anderson, first crack.
Okay. When we finally get opened all the way, which we are in the process of doing that at this time, we should do everything in our power to ensure that teachers, staff, and students are safe in our schools by making sure there is adequate distancing for students in the classroom, that there's adequate PPE equipment for teachers and staff, counselors, and that there are counselors available to students for support and psychologists for students when needed. We need to do everything in our power to make sure that our, first of all, though, that our students are safe. And then one of the things that we need to make sure we do is that if there is an outbreak, we need to make sure that parents of that particular class or bus or whatever it is are notified immediately so that we can start, keeping those students segregated from the rest of the school. Or, if we have to shut down a classroom, that's a possibility as well. So I just think that there's something that we have to be aware of, and I hope that we'll do everything in our power to keep everybody safe.
Okay, great. Miss Logan, same question. Do you remember the question? Question was,
Yes.
when COVID-19 passes, what should we do? Go ahead.
I agree with that we need to make sure everybody's safe. So I think that's part of the question is assume everybody's already safe because we're going back to school. I have 3 children in the school systems and they cannot wait to get back. I think a big piece of all the physical, mental, and emotional health is to get these kids back not only to school and learning, but also to their sports, their bands, their chorus, their after school activities. These kids, that's what these kids are really missing and really need for their emotional and mental health. And of course, I'm a big fan of sports, so I also like the kids to go back and do some exercise, social exercise on your team. So I think those are things that we need to get back to make sure we find a way that our kids get back to their activities.
Good, 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 good. Miss Manning, same question. Did you get a chance to see the question? The question was, when COVID-19 pandemic passes and the world opens up again, what would you propose safely reopening schools in a way that will be powered by the physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being of every child and every teacher? Miss Manning.
Thank you. I think getting our schools opened is imperative. Students and teachers are struggling with virtual learning as well as the factors of isolation. And in my local community alone, within 1 week, we had 2 suicides. And that is something that we're all struggling with. And it's so concerning to me. So the factors of the isolation, I believe, are currently outweighing the risks of COVID itself. Since only 60% of parents wanted their students to return for in-person learning, I feel that we could do it in a proper socially distanced way. And so I've been calling for our students to be back into school. I know our COO, Mr. Freeman, and his custodial staff, led by Mr. Ames, have done a great job preparing our schools. And I think that our staff and our teachers are ready and able to get our students back to in-person learning.
All right, Mr. Telkamp, same question.
Yeah, I agree that we need to go back safely, but as the question poses, it's when the pandemic passes and everything opens back up. And if we've learned anything, it would be that we need to adapt how learning happens within the situation. Many students are learning better and more successful learning from home. That doesn't mean that all students are able to learn better at home. We need to rethink education and the way that it looks and how we can meet the needs of all students and not just a select few that need to be in the classroom. We know there are a number of that the numbers have been flat for years in the number of students that graduate and pass SOLs, and we should learn to we should learn during this time to think how we can help those students that are struggling.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we're going to now bring on Ms. Riggs and Mr. Cortez to answer the same question. All right, so the question was pretty involved. When the COVID-19 pandemic passes and the world opens up again, how do you propose to make this a safe return? Ms. Riggs.
Well, first of all, being a past school teacher for 37 years, I know it's important for our kids to be back in the classroom, and that is very important for social, emotional, as well as educational purposes. But I also know that there's other factors involved, and those factors involve the adults, the teachers. If you don't have the teachers and the employees, the school bus drivers and all of that to take them back and forth, you're not going to have the education that you need, and they have to be safe. So it needs to be done safely, and PPE needs to be followed, which we are doing that and being very careful with the mask wearing, the social distancing, the cleaning products, all that's important. So I think it's making sure that everybody is safe. And we need to know that there's factors that affect minority groups even more. So this is something we just don't put everybody in just because they want to go. It's important that they go back safely. And we want to make sure that we don't have to go back in and out because they have spiked. The numbers have spiked because we started too soon.
Mr. Cortez, same question. Unmute yourself, sir. Same question.
Thank you. like Ms. Riggs was saying, COVID has affected the minority group, especially the Latino community. Reason why I know is since pandemic started in March, my radio station has been conducting COVID-19 testing and showing our community how to protect themselves. Bringing the kids safely in school. The school board has had since March to establish these guidelines and how safely come up and come back to school, and has failed to do so. That they actually extended to go back to school until October 6th. Until just recently, I got an email that now CSEP is going back on Monday. For special needs, those who don't know who CSEP is. So this is something that is troubling because they've had since March to come up with a solution how to safely bring back the kids, and has failed to do so.
Okay, interesting. And now we're going to bring on Miss Moran, and she'll give her viewpoint. It'll be the same question, Miss Moran. Do you need me to bring the question back up again? It's when COVID pandemic passes and the world opens up, how do we safely reopen?
All right, can you hear me?
We
All
can.
right, so for that reason alone, the mental health issues are exactly the reason we need to get our children back in schools. The Virginia Beach school system has a good reopening plan, and with the advice of the CDC, I think we can address all those issues.
Wow. You okay. Good answer. Okay. Right, very quick to the point. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next question. This question is coming from VB APAC. Let's see if it's populating. This is a fun day. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so let's start back with Miss Anderson, Miss Manning, Miss Logan, and Mr. Telkamp. All right, so the question is, improving race relations is central to the work of each community. Cities and regions could do more to promote racial equity. What policies would you implement to address racial inequities with your community? All right, Miss Anderson, you have the first crack at it.
Okay, before I begin my answer for this, I had texted Jessica Owens about joining us, and so she asked me to share this with you. Could I please share it real quick? She said that she did record her responses to the questions, and she tried to send them to you, but she's not sure if you got them. But she cannot get out of her work tonight, and she said if we listen to the news this evening, we'll be aware of what she's been up against. Because as you know, she deals with cases of abused children, and she said for all of us to listen to the news tonight, we'll know why she cannot get out of work tonight.
Thank you, Miss Anderson, and thank you for Miss Owens as well for giving us that update. So, Miss Anderson, answer the question, please.
Okay, so as you know, we did pass the equity policy, and I think that's going to go a long way to help with race relations in our community. It will help quite tremendously, and I think once we have the equity assessment, the audit, I think it's going to address some of the issues that we have been seeing with race relations in our community. So I'm looking forward to finding out what more we can do to help in that regard. Thank you.
All right, Miss Logan, your answer.
Yes, I agree with Bev. I really would like to see the results of that equity study so we can prioritize and figure out exactly what we need to do. We need our government and our schools to look more like the rest of us. We need more minority teachers. We need minority police officers, and also just in the general government.
Okay, Miss Manning, unmute yourself and same question.
Thank you. I don't believe we do enough in our school district to promote unity. And I believe that we need to start talking more about how we are the same than how we are different. God created us all in his image, and we all bleed the same. We need to focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. We also need to stop letting the media influence us. I go to a predominantly white church with a minister who's Hispanic. I'm friends with a pastor of a predominantly Black church. And after some dialogue, we came together to create unity. Our two churches are now uniting for events and community outreach. Together, we just held a big event where we gave out 400 backpacks and school supplies to a community in need. I think we need more of this unity to bring us together and to stop the division within our schools.
All right, Mr. Telkamp, your turn.
Yeah. So for me, I think we need to have more Black student unions at like at Kempsville High School, but also multicultural student associations, which would be open to all students and are another idea for getting everyone together. We should consider peer mediation programs that also promote discussion. And we all need to be willing to cross over and discuss what is going on in our community. And I would also be prepared to listen to any other initiatives and policies that can be championed to help resolve race relation issues. And I don't have all the answers, but I do want to help.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're going to bring on Ms. Riggs and Mr. Cortez, and it'll be the same question. Do you remember the question?
Just repeat it one more time, please.
No problem. Wow, that would happen, wouldn't it? Okay, improving race relations is central to the work of each community. Cities and regions could do more to promote racial equity. What policies would you implement to address racial inequities?
Okay, well, first of all, I think, we are making a step in the right direction with our equity policy. It's obviously needed because we didn't have one until now. We have equity built into our Compass to 2025 in every one of the goals. However, we need an equity policy that we can work on and work towards and will support what we want to do to improve these relations. I had the advantage and the opportunity to be invited to talk with our students, Mr. Jordan, Lucas Jordan, that did the march from Bayside High School for equity back in June or July. And so we were able to meet with him with Michael Berlucci and Sharon Felton and Dr. Parent, and listen to him and his friends, his mother, about what they feel is equitable and why they don't feel like they're being treated equitable. And I think more of these conversations is important.
Great. Mr. Cortez, same question. Improving race relations is central to the work of each community. What's your answer, sir?
I think everybody has, the heart in the right place, coming out with all these solutions, but actions speak louder than words. And I believe developing a multicultural group in every school and actually holding a monthly, maybe potluck, let them program an activity, let them learn about other people's cultures inside the school, let them eat the food instead of like that. It brings them together by something. There might be certain things. Sometimes food gets to people more than words and maybe more than literature and music. A lot of things, if you see now, the music are intertwining within each other, and this is something that diversifies our cultures. And this is what I'm proposing if elected on the school board. Because actions, like I said, actions speak louder than words, and we're tired of words.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Cortez, and thank you, Ms. Riggs. And Ms. Moran, you have the same question. All right. Improving race relations is simple. What are your thoughts?
Just so you're aware, the last question, Miss Franklin and Mr. Edwards didn't get to go, I think it was. And then I think you skipped them this time. I think I was the last one last time. I'm not sure. Just so you know. But as for improving race relations, I think it's incredibly important that there's equal opportunity for all students. I think Ms. Logan actually was pretty correct on that. We do need a school board that is diverse, and that's why you need our ticket, because we are the most diverse ticket you're going to get. We have diverse backgrounds. We have diverse ideas. So if you want to see change and real change, then you need to elect all four of us. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. And now, Mr. Edwards and Ms. Franklin, same question.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Who's first?
Go ahead.
Ms. Franklin is Ms. Franklin.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree that we do actually need a more diverse board. I think from a school board perspective, I would love to see initiatives in place that we can, as a school board, we can vote on that actually do bring more diverse opportunities, not only on the board, but through different events, just like Louise was talking about. I'm actually working personally with another gentleman in the community who we're going to go out there for outreach to folks that have some needs and really try to make some real differences, real life differences in people's lives. And I think that's what we all have to do. We all have to individually show tolerance and make sure that we're doing our part as people, as individuals, and it starts there. And unless we're doing that, then it's all about talk. It's really not about action. So I say that we start with action in our own lives, and then we can go from there.
Mr. Edwards, same question.
First, are you also going to let us go back and answer the last question?
We will.
Okay. All right. Now start this answer. The equity policy again. I'm delighted that it's now the law of the land of the school division. It's going to make a huge difference. And Dr. Parrott, if anybody questions her commitment to diversity and equity for all, they haven't been paying attention. We have a lot of events already under Dr. Parrott's office, and I think this audit's going to show that we can change them up and make them better. A regional approach, I think we can look at help going beyond the borders of Virginia Beach and fold some of that into our events and make them more diverse as well. And I think we all need to look at social media and ensure we're using that to unite us, not divide us. Thanks.
Excellent. So, Mr. Edwards, this was the question that we missed you with. We apologize for that. When the COVID-19 pandemic passes and the world reopens, safely reopening, what are your thoughts? And then we'll go back to Ms. Franklin. Mr. Edwards.
Yes. Okay. Reopening. Need to get the buildings open ASAP, but safely. The plan that we have that we're executing does that. That plan was attacked vigorously by those who wanted everybody back on September 8th, and it wasn't safe. We wanted to ensure that it was, both from planning and logistics as well as medical metrics. It was also attacked by those who thought we should commit to delaying for at least 9 weeks. Fortunately, those efforts were beaten back, and we are, I believe, opening safe, but as soon as we could. Okay. I think we're right on.
Okay. Ms. Franklin.
Well, since the question actually asks when the school does reopen, how are we going to go back and safely bring the kids back to school? My feeling is that watching the community as I go out to eat safely and attend different events, I do want to say that it's amazing to me how resilient kids are. My husband and I were sitting in a restaurant the other night, and we just said, it's great that these kids just automatically live their world with masks and don't complain about it, and just they're so resilient, and I'm so impressed with that. So I think that making sure that we're giving them proper training, not only the students, but the teachers, the administration, providing the proper training, giving them the opportunity to, have the janitorial staff and those come in and, wipe up. And also it's our responsibility as well in the classrooms to make sure that we're cleaning up after ourselves. So just giving them the proper tools to make sure that they have the necessary items to be safe, to clean up, use proper hygiene, do those type of things. I think that's going to be incredibly effective with these resilient kids and teachers.
All right, great. So it's time to move on to our next question, and we'll bring back Miss Anderson, Miss Manning, Miss Logan, and Mr. Telkamp. So the question is, what is your personal philosophy of education, And what purpose does education serve in someone's life? All right, Miss Anderson. Miss Anderson. Miss Logan. Go ahead.
My personal philosophy is that I'm a big, huge supporter of public education. I'm a product of public education. My parents, my husband, my kids. It's a place where our community can get together and grow from a common experience. They can be in classes with kids that are different from them. They can learn from them. They can learn from other experiences. Public school are not just what's in the books. It's also learning to get along with people that you don't care about, learning to enjoy people that you do like, finding out, the things you do like and don't like. And I think public education is a great way to grow from that common ground.
Okay, thank you. Miss Anderson.
Sorry, I don't
Same
know.
question. What is your personal philosophy?
I don't know if I missed it or not a while ago. All of a sudden, my computer kind of went crazy. I wasn't sure if I was hearing you or not, or you were hearing me. So,
please proceed. Please proceed. All right, Miss Manning, what's your personal philosophy on education, and what does education serve in someone's life? You can unmute yourself.
Sorry. I'm having problems with that now. I believe that we need to teach children how to think. We need to stick with the fundamentals of education, science, history, math, spelling, and leave politics out of it. Partnering with parents is also key, as there are stakeholders also, and they know the best needs of our children. So I believe that we need to do a better job of partnering with our parents to provide the most proper education for our students.
Okay. Miss Anderson, let's give it another shot. This is what it's kind of like with our students. I teach, and I'm doing the virtual teaching. Sometimes things freeze. Sometimes we're unable to hear the students. But as teachers, we have to continue moving and make sure they master this curriculum. So, Miss Anderson, what is your personal philosophy of education, and what purpose does education serve in someone's life?
So, as I was saying earlier, I'm a strong believer in public education because I was a teacher for 36 years in BBC.
Okay. And Mr. Telkamp.
Yeah, I believe strongly that public education is the way that we educate our community. And I'm all for it. I feel like public education is the way that our country is educated itself. So I will always be a proponent of public education over all other forms.
Okay, Mr. Telkamp.
Yeah, so my personal philosophy of education is that it's a way for us to learn how we need to move forward. Once you're out of school, you don't stop learning. It's something that needs to be able to help people prepare for their long-term life and how they're going to be successful. And I think that's what education is supposed to be about.
Okay, thank you, sir. And now, Miss, we're having fun today. We're really having fun today. All right, good deal. Good deal. Miss Cortez, are you here? Good, he's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, great. All right, Miss Riggs and Miss Cortez. Mr. Cortez. Bad host. Go ahead.
Who do you want first?
Miss Riggs, begin, please.
All right. I obviously believe in public education. I've been involved in it my entire life, as well as being a student. Was a teacher for 37 years, and I worked with public education even after I retired, with the VBEA, with the Virginia Beach Education Association, supporting teachers and students in public education, because that's the cornerstone of our country. That's where we began. That's where we learn. It gives everybody an equal opportunity. And that's what I believe we should be able to do. And public education does that. It treats everybody and gives everybody that opportunity. And I think this equity policy is going to help us even more in Virginia Beach. So I think it's the foundation of our country and our democracy. And without it, we would not be where we are as a country. And I think it will continue to do this well because of our public education system.
My turn. Okay. So I do public education. I am a product. I come from New Jersey public education system, and we were so diverse that we didn't look at skin color. Everybody thought of everybody like another family member in schools. I do believe we need to keep everything, politics out of schools, teach the fundamentals, encourage growth, and just, our students, we got to encourage our students to grow, develop themselves into young, respectable adults, and guide them, because most of our children come to school for refuge from their homes from what they're lacking. And I believe is being into their world, understanding them is probably the better way to guide them and partner up with other organizations, nonprofits, to assist us in doing that and molding our children to be better citizens.
Okay, Mr. Edwards, you have the same question. Proceed.
I'm a passionate advocate of public education. It is done right. It is the great social equalizer that this country needs. We need to provide the opportunity for each and every student to maximize their own individual potential, and we do that by providing them the resources and different types of programs and support, which inherently means differing amounts of resources going to different students. We also need to teach and offer programs that will pique and sustain the interest of the student in their education, make them the owner and pride in their own development academically.
Okay, great. Ms. Franklin.
Hey there. Yeah,
Hello.
I am a huge supporter of public education. I actually am a product of myself in Pennsylvania, and I've raised 3 kids in Virginia Beach, and I'm so proud of that. And I don't believe, though, that education is solely higher education, I should say. College is the only way for people to make a successful life, though. Our ticket really is big on the workforce learning and the workforce path as well. So one of the things that we want to do is also promote more apprenticeship and workforce opportunities to make sure that we have the college path, we have and we have the workforce path as well, so that all kids are being able to find a path in our public school system.
Beautiful. Ms. Moran, same question.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Sorry, my computer almost died. I had to connect it, so I had to move and stuff like that. So it's a little crazy. But
Trust me, I feel your pain.
I've been in public school, I have been in private school, and actually I was a missionary kid in Ghana, West Africa. My parents were there for 15 years. I was there for 9. I went to Ghana International School. So out of all the places I've been, out of all the things I've visited, out of all the schools I've been to, one thing is education is critical to growth. And I can sum it up with this quote for me. It's give a man a fish he eats for a day, teach a man to fish he eats for a lifetime. And I think that is my philosophy.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break to recognize some of our great sponsors. The show wouldn't have happened without them, so we want to take a moment and recognize our sponsors.
The guide is really undergoing a transformation as we focus on social and digital media in addition to our print. But our mission has never changed. It is to be an authentic recorder of news, events, information, and issues as they relate to the Black community. Your subscription today ensures the stories will be told tomorrow.
tallyandtwine.com. Yes, that's tallyandtwine.com, where you can find beautiful watches for men and for women, made here in the United States, made here in the great state of Virginia, made in Portsmouth, Virginia. That's right, made in America, made in Virginia, and made in Portsmouth. tallyandtwine.com. great watches for the men. Look at these beautiful watches. Aren't they nice, masculine, really attractive? And these sexy watches for our beautiful ladies. TallyandTwine.com. This is my favorite watch. This is the watch I personally own. TallyandTwine.com. Made in Virginia, made in America. It's time for you to get a high quality watch from Tally and Twine. All right, and it's time to continue with some of our questions. All teachers deserve better than minimum raises offered by the state and local government. Are you in favor of having a school union that is able to collective bargain for teachers and proposes the necessary tactics, if necessary, for stated goals? So let's bring on Miss Anderson, Miss Manning, Miss Logan, and Mr. Telkamp. Whew, this is a big question. All teachers agree, all teachers deserve better than the minimum raises. So what are you interested in doing for our teachers? What are you interested in doing for our teachers? Miss Anderson?
So I have been in Virginia Beach as a teacher, as I said, for 36 years. When I first started in Virginia Beach in 1973, there were a lot of things that we were lacking. One is teachers did not even have a lunch break. They ate with their children. We didn't have lunchroom monitors at the time. So all the things that, several of the things that have happened because of certain things like that, that was just one example. But we had what was called a memorandum of understanding, and it was similar to what people call collective bargaining. The Teachers Association sat down with administration and asked for certain things, asked for raises, asked for, at that time they asked for, at least a duty-free lunch. There were other things that were accomplished over the time, but my feeling about collective bargaining has to do with the successes that were made with the I can't say it. Memorandum of understanding. And so I feel like being able to sit down and with the teachers and listening to what they're asking for is very important. Okay. Yes. And my number one goal is to bring teachers' salaries up to at least the national average.
And Miss Logan, your chance.
Yes, the main reason I'm running is to help our teachers get the pay they deserve. I substitute teach and met a phenomenal math teacher, and he is working weekends just to pay the bills and missing out on his very young family's moments on the weekends. And he does that because he loves teaching. And I want to make sure he doesn't regret that decision. I want to make sure that he's well paid for all the things that he does. So yes, you can count on me to always help the teachers when it comes to collective bargaining agreements.
Okay, great. Miss Manning, same question.
Sure. So I don't support a teachers union to be able to collective bargain. I believe that teachers unions, both nationally and locally, have become very political and very divisive. A couple years ago, I do support higher pay for our teachers, though. A couple years ago, I wanted to use one-time extra funds to go toward this effort and to support a one-time teacher bonus. But unfortunately, a majority of my colleagues on the board wouldn't support my effort. I do believe that we have a lot of overhead that we need to look at and reallocate some of those funds directly to our teachers.
All right. Okay, Mr. Telkamp.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that we should have teacher unions be a viable option. The police and the fire department already have unions, and our teachers deserve the same access to better pay and benefits. And next year, when the law expires, teachers should join if they want to. The only way we can stop it is by paying them now what they are worth. If teachers do form a union, then we need to be prepared to work with them. And it's not going to be a fake teacher association like another board member created. The VBTA, which is fake.
Good Now we have Jeffrey Doc Feld. So, Doc, if you can answer the same question, good to have you on the panel tonight.
Yeah, I've been sitting here since 6:20 trying to get on, so I'm finally glad somebody dropped out so I can get in. So to address this question, first and foremost, teachers and staff have always been the heroes. They continue to deserve our respect for their dedication, professionalism, and countless hours of work that they, principals, etc., have done both pre, during, and will continue post-COVID. So yes, they deserve a raise. We have a shortfall of teachers, and COVID-19 is making the situation worse. We need to provide compensation for experienced professionals, as such is important not only for morale, but it's also important for retention. Providing school loan forgiveness, additional funding for the classroom supplies should be implemented as well. My mother, who was a teacher in New York, I recall how she hated going on strike or working to the contract just to get concerns addressed. She would feel so bad about the students. At the same time, she and her colleagues were taken for granted. So I recognize the fact that currently public employees can now collectively bargain in hopes that it will give public workers a voice on the local level. I have, as a candidate, spoken with Kelly Walker from the VBEA, and I feel we can communicate with each other effectively. However, taking the drastic action of a strike by public employees still remains illegal in Virginia. And speaking with many individuals, not an option which they want to explore. I'm finishing up. I've been out for the whole time, so give me a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm giving you a little levity.
My hope is, when elected, that when we find ways to help teachers and have all parties listen and get together, along with the school board being fiscally conservative, and with our expenditures, we can accomplish our mutual goals without using collective bargaining as a way to be divisive on this issue, because it has a potential to be politically adverse. I'm not opposed to requesting more funds from city council. It takes a village to run a school, and these employees are essential to the success of our schools, and therefore they all deserve a pay increase.
Thank you. He was catching up from this time. Glad to have you back, Doc. Glad to have you back. Okay, so Mr. Cortez and Ms. Riggs. Ms. Riggs, you have the first crack. Do you remember the question?
Yes, I do. I certainly believe in public sector, collective bargaining, because it's important for the teachers to have a collective seat at the table and to be able to discuss, all of the things that involve them. If they don't have that opportunity, I don't think they're going to be treated as fairly as they should be. Obviously, the pay has dwindled so much since the 2008, and I have seen firsthand, by working with the Virginia Education Association as a board member and the National Education Association, what it does to be able to sit at the table with the lawmakers and to be able to discuss what's important for your profession. And so who better than the people that actually do that work than to sit with the lawmakers and to discuss what's important for them. So definitely collective bargaining is the way we should be going.
We can't hear you.
You're muted.
Hey, I'm sorry. What are you going to do for the teachers? Collective bargaining, same question, Mr. Cortez.
Okay, I think that they do need to get pay raises. Collective bargaining, I think, is the union is okay. It's up to them if they want to pay into it. But I think we need to get school board members away from being part of the membership of the VBEA. I think conflict of interest, like my opponent, she was the former president of the VBEA. Therefore, she's voting towards the VBA that benefits them, and that should not be allowed. That should be a major conflict of interest, and that should be investigated, because as school board members, we should not be mixing the two. Our main focus is strictly the children, the teachers, and our parents in the community that we serve, not our pockets or other interest groups. We're not NASCAR.
We're not NASCAR. Miss Franklin and Mr. Edwards. Miss Franklin, you have first crack.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. Same question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you say same question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I absolutely would love to make sure that in Virginia and Virginia Beach specifically, that we are paying our teachers so that we have very competitive pay to ensure that we have great teachers that want to stay in our communities. I don't think it's just about pay, though. I think that a lot of these teachers do it because they love teaching. And I think that one of the things that we need to do is provide proper support to these teachers to make sure that they are supported when it comes to discipline issues, when it comes to all sorts of issues. And my concern, and one of the reasons I'm running on school board, for school board, I should say, is because I don't see that support necessarily happening right now. And we actually do have people on the board that were backed by VBEA or are part of VBEA, and we still have these kind of issues that are happening on the school board. So I'm not sure that that is the only answer to the problems that we're facing right now. I think that we need to make sure that we have other options and that we're really looking at the real issues and not just position or politics.
I didn't hear you, but I'm up, I think.
Mr. Edwards,
Great.
what's your position?
Thank you. I do not support formal collective bargaining by teachers. I do support a collective approach to discussing the issues, and there's a huge difference, both statutory as well as functional process. The school board does not have taxing authority. We cannot sit down and promise things that we don't have any authority under any circumstances to get. We need to work with city council and our state delegation for the resources. I certainly do support and recognize the need for some cataclysmic event to drive up. We can't nibble away. 2 or 3% raises are never gonna get us there. We need a major upshift in teacher compensation and benefits. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and Miss Moran, you have the same question.
Hi. So the actual question, everybody's, are you in favor of having a school union that is able to collective bargain for teachers and propose the necessary tactics if necessary for a stated goal? So the answer to that question is no. But I do believe that our teachers do need better. Of course they need raises, but that wasn't your question. So here's why I say no. Today's collective bargain is tomorrow's strike. Does anyone think the next step for the General Assembly is to add the right to strike once boards have approved collective bargaining? Guess who will be hurt the most by strike shutdowns? Those with the most economic challenges. That's it. I'm good.
We're coming towards our last prepared questions. We may have a chance to do some viewer questions. This is a interesting night. We're having a lot of technical challenges, but that's the same thing that's happening with our teachers today doing virtual teaching. So the question is, why has Virginia Beach City Public Schools not joined other school districts to start African American history as a part of the school curriculum? What is your plan to incorporate history, and what would be a good timeline for the implementation of the same? So for this question, we'll bring back on Ms. Anderson, Dr. Feld, Ms. Manning, Mr. Telkamp, and Ms. Logan. They're all running for the at-large seat. These are the at-large candidates, and so we all have a chance to go at the same question. Ms. Anderson, you're first.
So I do feel that African American history should be taught in our schools. In that the way American history is taught currently, it has left out a lot of the African American history that we should have been taught. I know that when I went to school, there were a lot of things that were left out of the curriculum that I wasn't even aware of, and in fact just got educated on a few things this summer and this past spring. So yes, I do feel like we need to revamp the way we teach American history, and we need to make sure that. I'm sorry, I thought there was some feedback. we need to make sure that a lot of the African American history that has been left off is incorporated into American history, and we may even need to revamp and go back and even into the elementary years of social studies and put some of that in there as well. So I really think we need to revamp the whole idea of how we teach American history right now, and go back and make sure that a lot of the things that have been left out are incorporated into our studies.
Okay, Miss Logan, you have the same question.
To answer the first question, I'm not sure why we haven't done it yet. It seems like it should have been done a long time ago to add this to our curriculum. I believe that to start, we should have a elective in high schools, a full class on African American history. There's no reason we don't have classes that students can't choose to take when they're in high school. I also believe that we can go back into the elementary schools and primary schools and make sure that we fill in the holes. There is not like a single whole unit on African history. And my kids haven't taken it. They don't even know the history of SeaTac. And they're in the high school, and that's sad. So I think that we need to go back and fill in those holes in the primary schools. And I think we need to give opportunities at the high school level to take full classes, variety of classes on this type of history.
Miss Manning.
Thank you. I think that we definitely need to be teaching more about different cultures in our schools regarding history. And I think that we need to teach more about all cultures. I think Native American history is also being left out, as well as Latin history and the differences between Latinos and Hispanics. That's something that is not discussed enough, I believe. One thing that the Virginia Department of Education did recently is they took away the requirement of history accreditation in our schools for graduation. And so I think that was a mistake. We need to be putting more emphasis on history rather than less.
All right. Paul.
Yeah, I cannot speak as to why the current board has not taken this up, and other than to say that other political motives have been at play. If the current board does not take up the action before the end of the year, we should vote on it when the new board starts. And I think we could vote to allow it as a course, work with the current school administration to put a viable course in place for the next calendar school year. History has been whitewashed long enough, and we all deserve to know the history of all cultures.
Okay, Dr. Feld.
Yeah, not being a current school board member, I cannot answer why it has not happened yet, but can only point out that there's a voting record that stands on its own. I feel we need to educate our students on the history of our country, and that includes looking at multiple perspectives through the lenses of our diverse community. I feel it's important to educate our citizens who will be our future leaders on what transpired in our country, and I feel that such education should happen and be adopted with joining other highly respected and performing school districts immediately. My wife is a teacher. I have 3 boys in the public school systems. These things need to happen right away, but in a smart, respectful way.
All right. Well, those are at-large candidates, and they all gave their answers. I'm glad that Dr. Feld is back. And now we're going to bring in our Centerville candidates. That would be Trinice Riggs and Louis Cortez III. And we'll have the same question. Ms. Riggs, you may go.
Being a past history teacher in 6th grade, I taught American history, U.S. American history. So there was a lot of it in there. But yes, we needed more perspectives. I like exactly what Jeffrey said. There needs to be through many different lenses, and it needs to be more incorporated. And I think we will be doing this in Virginia Beach, but we want to make sure it's right and we get this curriculum right. And if you all have been reading the news, which I'm sure you have, we know that our governor has had a commission with the DOE recently to approve a course for African American history. And that's something I'm sure that we will be looking at very closely and looking at including. And I agree with Ms. Manning. Yes, we should be looking through the lens at all of these diversified cultures. And there should be more involved in our curriculum.
Thank you. Mr. Cortez.
Yes, I do believe in teaching all diverse history, as we should be doing it, but we haven't. We've fallen back. I believe that right now we don't have to create an individual curriculum for the African American, because now you're leaving out all the other communities. How about the Latino community, Asian, Filipinos? These are all the major groups in that make up the population in the Virginia Beach School Board, schools. Therefore, we have to include that and think about that, not just focus on one group. I think we have to be diverse, teach more, maybe modify the history books to include more of the African American, the slave trade, and things of that nature. So, like that, we don't make the same mistakes that happened before in history. That's what part of history is to educate ourselves, not to repeat the mistakes from our ancestors and people that came before us. Therefore, we should work on that, maybe focus on that, and redo the history books to include more of that, and then expand it a little bit with the current curriculum that we do have.
Thank you. Thank you. Those were our Centerville candidates. Let's move to the Kempsville candidates. That would be our incumbent, Dan Edwards, and the contender, Ms. Franklin.
Hello.
So, Ms. Franklin, you first.
Well,
Same question.
Okay, thank you. I absolutely do think that in school, it's very important to bring home the importance of having strong mentors. I would love to see, I love reading about Katherine Johnson, her contributions to getting us to the moon. I think that was amazing. And I think that it's really important. And one of the things that I love about that is that there are not enough women, much less African-American women, who are doing science, math, and those type of studies. So I would love to see more of that, where you create a mentorship type of situation where women know that they can do anything that they want to do, and that they're smart enough and capable enough to do it. So I absolutely would support a curriculum that would allow us to bring strong mentors in every community, and make sure that these kids see that they have the ability, no matter where they come from or how depressed they are, or no matter what they have going on in their life, that they can absolutely achieve everything they want to do.
Beautiful. Mr. Edwards.
The specific question is on the course that was approved by the Virginia Department of Education over the summer. I discussed it with Dr. Spence and the superintendent in terms of trying to get it implemented, and he committed to implementing it the following year. He just frankly did not think he could get it started and get it right this year, given the late authorization from Richmond, combined with everything else that we had going on in terms of the structuring the virtual and the trying to support the virtual learning and everything. And we frankly don't like to do or start things if we can't do it right. And that's why he slid the implementation until the following year.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And those were your Kempsville contenders. All right. And Rose Hall, my area, Miss Moran, and her contender is the incumbent, Jessica Owens, who has sent a couple of messages. She won't be able to work with us tonight. She's handling some business. So, Miss Moran, we're looking forward to hearing your insight. Please proceed.
So, as to the question, why has VBC not joined other school districts? I would ask another question and say, why have the 8 members of the majority refused to make this a part of the curriculum? The school board majority hired the superintendent. So if a culture of diversity and inclusion needs to be created, ask the majority why it doesn't yet exist. My thing is, we need to teach our kids about every culture that makes up our amazing country. That includes African American, Irish, American Indian, Latino, Asian, everything. We are a melting pot, which means every single culture made us who we are today. And it makes up American history. And we need to remember that, to come together as Americans.
All right. Thank you, Miss Moran. Well, we're close to the 8 o'clock hour. I want to take this moment to encourage all of our school board candidates to go back through the Facebook and YouTube questions. We had a lot of great questions from, from Luther Allen, from Kathleen, from D. Howard, from Lindsay Nathaniel, and from Tiffany Williams. There were a lot of great comments and a lot of great questions that were posed. Dr. Feld popped in a little late, so we're going to give him a chance to answer one last question, but I want to put on the screen all of the candidates who are running for the various positions. So our at-large people, if you can wave, our at-large people, if you can wave, if you're running for at-large, wave, yeah, right. That would be Beverly Anderson, Victoria Manning, Dr. Jeffrey Feld, Laura Logan, and Mr. Telkamp. Our Centreville candidates, if you can wave, Centreville, all right, good. That's Louise Cortez and Trinice Riggs, the incumbent. All right, our Kempsville candidates, if you can wave, all right, that would be Dan Edwards, the incumbent, and Jennifer Franklin. And Rose Hall, currently we have with us Miss Moran, and she's waving. Okay, good. So these are the people that you'll be voting on very soon, November 3rd. Check out their websites. Check out the comments and the responses they leave to the comments that you're going to find on Facebook, on YouTube, at the various channels. We want to thank everyone who is a part of tonight's proceedings. Our children are very important. Our children are very important, and their education is very important. So we urge you, take the time to investigate the people who want to help make decisions for your children. Investigate the people who are looking to make decisions that will impact the lives and trajectory of your children's lives. So do your research, be an informed voter. This was produced by the Hampton Roads Black Caucus. We also want to say thank you to the New Journal and Guide. They're our media sponsor. So thank you to the New Journal and Guide. Also wanted to say thank you to the NAACP. They helped out with tonight's event. We want to say thank you to Virginia Beach AAPAC. They helped out with tonight's event. And we want to also thank our sponsors, Tally and Twine, the New Journal and Guide. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a great night. Do your research and make the right choice November 3rd. This show was brought to you by Positive Vibes Incorporated, our consulting service. I had my mic muted credit the whole fixes. We do tax resolution. We lend private money. I had my mic muted the whole damn time. If you need some of these services, we're waiting here for you. Credit fixes, tax resolutions, private money, and debt consolidation. Make sure you call Positive Vibes Incorporated. Take care. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you. And Thursday, we're going to have the City Council Forum. This Thursday night will be our City Council Forum, Thursday night at 6:30.